I woke up to heavy rain.
Yeah, good
boring.
to see that. We've been needing the rain, and the best chance for rain today because of all that tropical moisture that's still moving into South Texas. As you can see there, a nice line of heavy showers overnight and now starting to weaken, and just looking at that activity now breaking apart, but the clouds do remain and so does the moisture. We'll still see a continued chance for rain in the forecast for the next couple of days, and we'll talk about that in your 7-day forecast in just a few minutes. Temperature around 76 degrees here in Corpus Christi, 77 in Beeville, and 75 degrees in Hebbronville. Dawn Thomas and Jane.
All right, thanks a lot, Kristen. Corpus Christi police are launching new foot patrols around the neighborhood of Castores and Holly after seeing a spike in home burglaries, thefts, and drugs.
Yeah, officers have responded to just over 80 calls in the past 2 months. 16-year-old Michael Passero was arrested during one of those patrols this weekend. His mother claims officers used excessive force when confronting her son on his way home. 3 News reporter Anayeli Ruiz shows us how investigators saw Passero was uncooperative with officers.
According to police, 16-year-old Michael Passero was walking in the roadway when officers stopped him.
The officers noticed that he was a male and that he was looked to be a juvenile. So they flashed their flashlights at him to get his attention. He stopped. They went over to him.
Police say when they noticed the teen was underage, they asked him for ID, something he didn't have. The police report goes on to say that Passero then put his hands in his pocket and pulled them back out, forming a fist. Officers then tried patting the teen down to make sure he didn't have any weapons.
Suspect says, you're not going to pat me down, And he pulls away from the officers, and then when the officers try to detain him, that's when he starts striking towards the officers, takes a couple of swings and doesn't make impact. They do take him to the ground.
The police report says that Michael fell on his back and fought off the officers. At that time, officers were still unsure what Michael had in his hands. Michael rolled onto his stomach and would not allow officers to detain him. That's when the officers tased Michael in his back, according to the electronic records, for no more than 5 seconds.
It had its effect, and they were able to take him into custody.
Michael did have scrapes and cuts. He was cleared near the scene by medics, but he was later taken to Driscoll Children's Hospital.
Their protocol is if someone's been tased, they want him medically cleared by a doctor. So that's why our officers had to take him to Driscoll Children's Hospital to get cleared, not because of the injuries or any injuries that had occurred to him. It was a protocol.
The officers who responded to this call did get some scrapes and bruises, but they're okay. Anayeli Ruiz, 3 News.
A Supreme Court ruling says if officers have reasonable suspicion, they can pat you down without consent.
Investigators say Passero was out past curfew and walking in the roadway.
If you do plan on taking the JFK Causeway later today, you might want to add some time to your ride. Starting at 9 this morning to 3 this afternoon, the outside lanes in both directions will be coned off to allow crews to replace lighting along the bridge. The inside lanes will remain open. In Kingsville, police are still looking for a man who robbed a bank at gunpoint. New surveillance pictures show the robber wearing a motorcycle helmet at the IBC Bank on West Santa Gertrudis near Armstrong. Investigators say the man held up the bank last Friday afternoon and escaped with an undisclosed amount of cash. You are asked to call Kingsville Crime Stoppers at 592-INFO if you have any information that could lead to an arrest.
On the city's south side, a 29-year-old man suspected of auto burglaries in Nueces County Jail this morning thanks to one alert neighbor. Clayton Randall was arrested yesterday. Officers were called to Bray near Weber yesterday morning after receiving calls of a man breaking into cars. When investigators showed up, they say Roland took off running. Officers found him in the backyard of one resident's home after that homeowner pulled a gun on him.
I saw somebody jump that wire fence there. And then I pulled my pistol out and I aimed it at him with a laser and I said, hey, don't go no further.
Roland faces charges of auto burglary, evading arrest, and drug possession. A 54-year-old woman is recovering this morning after investigators say she was beaten up and held against her will by her son. 28-year-old Joe Witherspoon was arrested. Detectives say Witherspoon started abusing his mother Sunday night at an apartment complex on Hancock near Buford. The victim suffered injuries to her face and body, including two black eyes and a bloody nose. She also had a handprint around her neck. The 54-year-old victim managed to run away after someone knocked on the door.
A friend came and knocked on the door, and that's when she escaped. And like I said, as I was walking, I seen her, so I gave her, I have to help her out.
Witherspoon faces charges of unlawful restraint and aggravated assault.
Overseas, international leaders are gathering for this week's NATO summit in Wales. ISIS is not on the official agenda, but leaders are expected to discuss the ongoing crisis in Iraq and Syria. CNN's Andrew Spencer shows us how the role of the U.S. remains to be seen.
The killing of another American journalist brings even more Western attention to ISIS.
Stephen was my hero. He was traveling to the most dangerous, troubled places on the planet so that he could report back stories of human suffering.
ISIS, also known as the Islamic State, still holds American hostages, according to a senior administration official. U.S. lawmakers continue to call for more action, some criticizing the president's approach.
This kind of barbarity only brings home the nature of the enemy we face and the scope of it.
Others stress the United States cannot handle ISIS on its own.
The Turks, who have been letting ISIS cross their border with impunity for a long time, and the Saudis, who have been looking the other way while many people have been financing ISIS from Saudi territory as well as other Gulf states, they need to get into this fight.
Video surfaced in June appearing to show ISIS capturing Iraqis near Tikrit. More than 1,000 families say their loved ones, Iraqi security forces and cadets from Camp Speicher, are still missing. Demanding answers, more than 100 people stormed Parliament inside Baghdad's Green Zone on Tuesday. The U.S. Embassy there has beefed up its own security as Obama authorizes the deployment of another 350 troops to protect diplomatic facilities and personnel in Baghdad. I'm Andrew Spencer reporting.
And it was just confirmed.
Yes, that Salof was the man that was beheaded in that video. So White House confirming that.
Moving on, expand your mind.
Just ahead, how area leaders are responding to calls for better library hours, what you need to know. But first, our Sarah Acosta is live with four-leg friends who are helping those who have trouble seeing. Sarah.
Good morning. I'm here with Albany Guide Dog and his owner, Tommy. When we come back, we'll get to know them and how Albany helps Tommy on a day-to-day basis.
This is 3 News First Edition in